I am going to answer your burning baby name questions, starting with, is it more difficult to name girls or boys? Now, you might think, Steph, that is incredibly subjective, and you're kind of right, but I have 3 definitive reasons why I think one is harder than the other. We're also going to tackle the very awkward question of, does my child's unique baby name look as dumb as people say it does? And we're going to close out with the heavy hitter, can you learn to live with baby name regret? I'm a professional baby name consultant with a lot of opinions on these subjects, so I'm very curious to hear if you agree. Hello, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I hope you stick around if you like baby names and all things whimsical. We are going to jump right into question number 1. Is it more difficult to name girls or boys? Drum roll, please. The answer is boys. I think it is much harder to name boys, and I have 3 specific reasons why. Number 1 is you are limited by tradition / girls have more options. So for the longest time, there was a big push for especially sons to carry on the family business, occupation, name, legacy for a family, right? So you were given your father's and your grandfather's name. So you were James William III, right? With girls, there wasn't that pressure. There wasn't that rule. And so while most of those things have kind of gone away, I will say I still get a fair amount of clients who are like, well, I have to choose this, but maybe they don't love the family name of Harold, Harry, and they want to go with something a little more fresh like Silas or Noah. And because of that, it's really hard to kind of walk that line of, okay, well, for many years, possibly decades, possibly hundreds of years, the men in the family have gone by this name, or they've had these initials. Whatever the case may be, there are more rules, which makes it harder to choose a name for a boy. The second reason is that all names sound empowering on little boys. This is going to be very nuanced, and I hope I explain it well. But basically, you look at a name like Maddox or Lennox or, even Arlo. These names sound cool, tough, interesting, and bold for both a boy or a girl. But you look at hyperfeminine names like Aurelia and Sophia and Poppy, and you're like, those are cutesy, feminine, frilly, ethereal. We don't necessarily want to give our boys those traits. Whereas we're happy to give our girls tough, bold, strong traits, we're not as happy to give our sons pretty, sweet, dainty, timid, feminine traits. And that is a whole big conversation that we can get into at another time. But regardless, boys don't have the entire dictionary of names to choose from. Name dictionary. Does any of this make sense to you? When it comes to girl names, you can really look at the masculine lists and the feminine lists and the gender neutral lists, and you can look at them all. With boys, we tend to just have a fine line of where those gender neutral names lie, and anything that goes a little bit too feminine is not considered. Therefore, you have less options, makes it harder, yet again, to name boys. And reason number 3 really ties in and is influenced by my first 2 points, and that is there is a lack of creativity sometimes when it comes to boy names. For girls, sky's the limit. I see a lot of clients pushing boundaries, thinking outside the box for girl names, and I don't see the same thing happening with boy names. It feels like they kind of put a little cover on their limit, right? The sky is not the limit. There's a little bit of a cover. There's some structure. There's those guidelines. And I think that kind of holds families back from really embracing all of the possibilities and all of the name choices out there. I'm just a big fan of creativity in any sense, so it kind of makes me sad that we are much more creative when it comes to our girl name combinations than we are boy names. Question number 2, does my child's unique name spelling look as dumb as everyone says it does? The answer is absolutely not. From a professional here, I do not care if you choose a unique spelling. It might not be what I would choose, but that doesn't mean I have an issue with it. It is morally neutral however you choose to spell your baby's name, okay? Because first of all, this is a really wild take to have. Why do you care so much about what people use for spelling of their kids' names when there's multiple spellings for so many different names? Also, I'm pretty sure some of these opinions probably stem from classism or racism. It's like there are many traditional names that are difficult to spell as well. There's words in the English language that are just incredibly not intuitive at all. I don't care if you want to spell Lee, Leigh, or Lee, Lee. I don't think it matters if you want a Y instead of an I. Yes, it's a more trendy thing to do, but it's It's your choice. It's your creative freedom. It's your baby. You choose the spelling that you want. I find that it is very difficult to spell classic names, if you will, like Genevieve and Chloe and Jonathan and Isaac. Those names are misspelled all the time, and I've seen the data that Chloe and Isaac are two of the most changed baby names because they were originally spelled incorrectly on the birth certificate. So you do you, and you choose the spelling of the name that you love. Okay? Are you guys ready for this question? Because I don't think that I am. Okay. Can you learn to live with baby name regret? I think the answer is yes. A resounding yes. You can learn to live with a lot of things, number one. And my disclaimer will be, first of all, if you truly dislike their name and they're only a few months old, they're less than 6 months old, let's say, let's just give it a number. Go and change it now. Especially if you had a last minute name that you snuck in there and you chose, or a family member pressured you to choose one you didn't like, go change it now. I have clients that come to me and their child is 3 or 4 years old and they're like, I don't love the name still and it never went away. That situation, it's time for you to learn to live with it, in my opinion. They know how to write it, they answer to it, they're learning to read. If it's their name, I wouldn't change it unless they were really adamant that they didn't want to go by it anymore. I do believe that time helps heal. And I do believe that names are not as serious as we need to make them. Yes, you should put a lot of time and energy to choosing a name. I know you feel the pressure. I felt it too. I scoured every website and book. I just wanted to hear all the names and I wanted to make the best choice I could. But there's still some names that I'm like, oh, that would have been cute for my daughter. Oh, if I had a son again, I might do this name. There's still those names that you're always going to have a big crush on, and that's okay. But can you learn to live with a little bit of name regret? Yes, you can. As they get older, you never know what they're going to do with their name. If they're going to get married and then change, Annabelle to Annie officially on their social security information. You don't know if their gender identity is going to change and they're going to want to change their name. It always reminds me of the quote about how your child's name is a gift. It's the first gift you give them, and it's okay if they want to return it someday if it doesn't suit them. It is a gift. It is not permanent. It doesn't have to be permanent, but it also, you don't have to put the most importance on it that makes you go crazy, because what if you change their name and then you keep thinking of the old name? What if you go through the entire paperwork and all the different processes that you have to do and you change everything over and then you keep thinking about the old name? How do you know you're going to love the new name you choose? And I think that's what holds people back. So only do it if you're really sure and it's really early on. I think at that point, you need to find ways to love the current name they have. This is a huge thing though. Me and my fellow name consultant friends, we get people asking about baby name regret all the time. So I love that it's becoming more talked about and more well known. You see celebrities change their child's name. I think it's important for us to acknowledge that we have those feelings, just like gender disappointment. When you find out if you're having a boy or a girl, it's okay to acknowledge them. It's not okay to highlight them and live with it forever. We need to let time heal, let it dissipate, and find ways to love the name that they have no matter what. That's my opinion on it, but I'm curious what you think. This video made me feel a little bit sweaty because there was a lot going on in my head, and trying to get the correct words out, I put a lot of pressure on myself, speaking of pressure, to say the right thing. And I hope you know that I am here to support you with baby names and to help you on this process, because I had the best time naming my kids. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love helping people. I get to name more children vicariously through my clients. What an amazing job. So if you also love making baby name lists, or you're interested in listening to me talk about names all the time and vote in polls and all the things, join the Name Lounge. It's my Patreon, and I would just love to see you there because we have a really good time hanging out. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, happy naming.